Hi there, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. This is M2L. I'm here today presenting a new data type, and this is a short tutorial to show you how the tool operates and what essentially we're trying to achieve with the tool. I start out with framing a little bit what we're trying to achieve, essentially what's the use case, how the algorithm works, and what it is expecting, and then jumping into the tool itself to give you a small demonstration of the works. URL link is a new data type that has been introduced in the last few days, rolled out to all customers, and it sits under the content details. So as you transfer data inside the tool and you are required to describe it, then as you open the little window, you will see that under the content details sections, there is a new field which is called URL link. And the purpose of, and more or less how it works, is essentially that the tool is expecting data to be loaded as global, so as a country definitions, specifically on the URL link. The file format is a CSV or XLS, or the typical information that database is structured that you know today. And the match objective is that of verifying a URL data string from essentially a planned exercise to an active database, and to provide a mapping between what we call all sites URL links and new sites URL links. The process logic is that behind it, the algorithms will break down automatically the URL data strings in relevant elements, and these are scheme, netlock, path, query, and fragment. And depending really what is available inside your data, these options to further verify the information will be presented to the users if available, and not if not, so they will revert back to the highest level of the data. The use case, or really what we're trying to achieve with this new data type, is support of our customers, adding new functionalities to the tool for our customers, and to drive and support the need for changing the structure of a website, or consolidating more domains into one, or switching to a new platform, because some of our customers are also doing that. And if that is an activities that you are planning to do, or you're executing today, then redirect mapping for website migrations is definitely something that is in your priority task list. The tool, M2L, lets you easily manage this process, eliminating any subsequent 404s or wrong redirects essentially in seconds. Just to show you how it works, here I have with me two databases. Essentially, one is a list of URLs that are available from my active sites. They have indices. I have descriptions of the links, and then I have the links themselves, which are combinations. They are just a path, or they have a query, or as you can see somewhere below, they have also a fragment. And I want to verify if what is active in my systems is matching to essentially what was planned in the system, if I have any specific pages that I might have missed out in my planning phase, and or I need to address. So elements that you may consider here is in my netlock, I have an additional information like new.farm.com. And then I am also planning to add e-commerce sections. And so I labeled it as a product in my subdirectories in here. So these are the two databases that I want to verify presence and see if everything is linked, or if I have some outstanding sections. So jumping into the tool, I am going to quickly log in. First step is to transfer the data. So I'm going to click add a list, and I'm going to call it demo new URL files. I'm going to select the country, like I said, is global, choose the files, and I am going to select the planned, click open, migrate data across. So the usual few seconds to wait for the file to transfer. Then I will be able to describe this information to you. So just wait a moment for the tool to interpret the data. So it shows me my very first 25 records. Then it gives me the title. Title picks it up automatically. It's essentially the title of the page, but in the system it is reverted to the personal details. But I'm not interested in matching on the title. So I'm going to put that to ignore. In URL, it picks up a website, and I want to migrate it to the URL link. Click continue. And then my data will be transported across inside the system. Now, to just jump across for the other files, I already have prepared a project, and I call this URL demo URL redirect, old and new. And just to see how this information works, I'm going to click the visualizers. So here I have my two files, one next to the others, and as you can see, the systems automatically analyzes the information and recognizes that some elements have a fragment, some elements have a query, path, netlock, and a schema. Now, the schema is going to be always the same, so I'm just going to choose it into my calculations to help me out, but I know that the HTTPS will be across all, and not necessarily relevant for my matching. It will not give me any specific insight. So I'm going to essentially focus on the following. So I'm going to take my link, I'm going to take my path, and I am going to look at the fragments, and I want to bring the fragments to an absolute certain that it is matched. I'm also going to add the query, and I am rematching my information. So I noticed that I am leaving out the netlock because in one side I have it as farm.com, in the other side I have it as a new farm.com. So there is a little bit of a wording inside it, although the systems still deliver me 100% because it's based on the schema, path, query, and fragment elements. So I'm going to simply accept everything that is 100% because it's only one page, so there are only a few records in this small example. And I'm just moving to my next way of analyzing my data and moving forward. So my next step is I'm going to take away the focus on the fragment. I'm just going to put some focus onto the query. And I'm going to simply just select a white tick on the fragment side and rematch. So a reminder that the white tick essentially instructs the system to say, okay, if it's available in one but not in the others, just approve as 100%. If it is available in both sides, then, however, just make sure that it's scored correctly. So in here, I have 3 pages. I'm going to quickly scan and remind you that the tool delivers best to worst. So if everything is okay at a certain level, everything that is above will also be accurate. So I am happy with this, and I am going to approve all of these ranges. As a matter of fact, my last score is 99.25, so it's particularly good. I'm moving across. Then in the systems, I've approved a quarter of my data. So my next step is essentially looking at the path, and I'm going to just simply put it on path. I'm going to take away the 1 stars, and I am massaging, and I'm looking for further information regarding my data that should be matched. And again, in here, I find all sorts of data that is falling on a correct range. So again, I am batch approving the range, the 16 pages of it. And in the meantime, all of my records will be approved. So lastly, I can check, okay, let me have a quick look at the query. Let me put it on the fragment back on. Let me add the URL link. Let me just see if there is any specific data that on the traditional basis, information will be proved correctly. So here I can see I get some information that is coming through, although the score is very low, simply because I am using all of the information that's within Matlock. Perhaps I can take away the path information and try to bring Banyan with product Banyan, although this will be somewhere also scored, penalized because the word product sits inside it. Nonetheless, this is okay, I'm accepting. And that's it. So now I move to download. I have approved 99.5% of my data. I'm going to move to download and to obtain the results. Now, when I go to download, what I want to get is essentially my active data with the information from my planning data. So I'm going to select all with patches, which is going to give me my source list, which is my active data. And I want to see whatever I missed from the tool, from a linkages point of view. So whilst the tool prepares and output files, I had already downloaded this information, and essentially it's available here. What is in green is my active system. What is in light blues is my planned database. What is in orange are the scoring codes. So as you can see immediately that I have a lot of A's, and you're familiar with Matchlist, you know that this information means that this is a 100% match between database 1 and database 2, or the active and the planned. And I can just simply look down and say, okay, everything is okay. So all this is matched. And here I realize that I have a set of data which has not been approved simply because this information is not available. So these are my 404s. So in this instance, in my active system, I have a number of pages which goes to nothing because in my planned work, I had not produced a right URL path. So here's the work, and essentially it's very simplistically, this is how the tool works. Hope it is helpful to your work. Hope it adds more benefits to the systems, and happy matching.